Welcome to the final topic in our series for families, titled Goals of Care. The purpose of this presentation is to help you be prepared to adjust goals of care based on the changing needs of your loved one with dementia. We will define common goals of health care and treatment, determine how treatment plans should proceed, and talk about considering the potential risks and benefits of differing care options. Let's start by remembering that the focus of this training series is about working as a team to create a partnership between family members and a variety of healthcare providers that help you care for a loved one with dementia. Partnerships rely on good communication. It also means asking questions or for explanations if something the provider says doesn't make sense to you, as well as bringing up any concerns that you may have with the care routine for your loved one. Being prepared throughout your conversations and interactions with providers is also important to a successful partnership. First things first, when we are sick, we want to get well. We want medical treatment that can help us feel better. We want the sickness to be cured. However, it is important to note that chronic illnesses differ from sickness, and they can last for years or even decades. Many forms of dementia are considered chronic illnesses, and many have no cures at this time. Most forms of dementia get worse over time. In other words, the person with dementia continually loses abilities throughout the disease progression. Throughout the disease, but especially in the advanced stages of dementia, people can have differing opinions about medical treatments and interventions. One method to navigate and determine the right course of action for your loved one is to consider goals of care. When we talk about goals of care, we are talking about what is hoped to be accomplished medically. Using the idea of a compass and a map, we can think of the term goals of care in two ways. What is the overall goal of medical care for this person? Think of a compass. What is the general direction for care? And then, what is the goal for a specific treatment, procedure, or medication? This is the map. What is the destination we are seeking? For most of our lives, when we are sick, we seek treatment and a cure. When we are diagnosed with a chronic disease, we seek treatments to slow the progression of the disease and to make us feel better. However, when the chronic disease has advanced, it is good to have a conversation with healthcare providers to carefully consider the right balance of treatments and procedures. In general, there are three broad goals of care. Live as long as possible. Live as comfortably as possible, regardless of how long that is. Or a combination of the two. Once there is agreement about the overall direction of care, think compass. Then healthcare treatments and procedures can be aimed to get the person going in the right direction. While it is important to have an overall sense of the direction for medical treatment, there are often many specific questions that need to be addressed. For example, which specific treatments, medical procedures, or medications are desired? Once the compass has set us in the right direction, a map can provide more detail. As specific treatment decisions come up, the team, and that includes you, should discuss whether the treatment is consistent with the general direction of care, how likely is it that the treatment will have the desired effect, and what might be the side effects. As a family member, you should voice the values and preferences of the person with dementia if they are unable to voice those preferences themselves. The healthcare professionals bring their knowledge of the disease and the treatments to the table, and together, the team arrives at a decision about a specific treatment option, given the general direction of care. A research team based at the University of Iowa reviewed studies published about goals of care and grouped the different goals into these 6 categories. Be cured. live longer, improve or maintain function, be comfortable, achieve life goals, provide support for loved ones. Keep in mind that goals of care can change over time. People can change their mind about which overall goal is best, and they can change their mind about specific treatments. Maybe the situation has changed. For example, the illness has progressed and the patient has lost even more function. Maybe a treatment option has been tried before and you may not want to try it again. On the other hand, new treatment options can occur, and that can also prompt a person to reconsider. While it is always appropriate to discuss the potential benefits of the treatment weighed against the drawbacks, this becomes even more important when the dementia disease has advanced to the last stages. Some guideposts to consider along the way. What are you hoping to accomplish with this particular visit? How likely is it to have the effect you are hoping for? What are the risks of trying a particular treatment? On the other hand, what are the risks of not trying? When is a decision needed? And who can help you think through the decision? When a person has advanced dementia, it is important for everyone involved in the healthcare team, including the family, to know the direction to proceed with care. When there is an agreement about the overall goal of care for a person with advanced dementia, that understanding can help guide some of the other decisions that may arise. For example, under what conditions should a person with advanced dementia be sent to the emergency department, which can be extremely stressful to the person with dementia, and when should care be provided in the nursing home? Other decisions can be about specific medical procedures or medications. Once people agree on the overall goal of care, some of the other decisions are easier to make because everyone is on the same page. It is good to speak with your healthcare provider about the type and amount of care that makes sense, given the overall goal of care. So what can you do? Let your healthcare provider know that you would like to talk about the goals of care for your loved one. Discuss the goals of care and treatment options with other family members. Outline in advance what may cause a change in the current goals. What process will determine the need for a change? Who will be involved in determining the new goals? How will you support one another throughout the process? And how do you want to look back on this process? These are not easy conversations to have, but they will be beneficial down the road if a situation is stressful and emotions run high. Let's take a minute for a breakout discussion. Have you already had some of these conversations with family? With your healthcare provider? If you are the primary decision maker in the family, what sort of support would you like from others, such as the provider or your family members? Have you expressed to others how they could support you or the process? Please pause the presentation now, and then when you are ready to continue on, press play. Successfully navigating and determining goals of care for your loved one relies on active communication within the healthcare team, including both family and providers, as well as continuous evaluation and adjustments as care needs change. There is also the need to consider the risks and the benefits of each course of treatment, procedure, and other care options. We hope that you enjoyed this series. Please refer to the resources on the website for additional information on each topic. Thank you for joining us.